First KB Toys from my childhood, now Toys R Us. And now also my hairdresser's leaving too? Everything's leaving! Hello, what's up guys, I'm Kyle from KGR, and I already know a bunch of YouTubers are already talking about this, but I want to get my say in too. No, I'm not going to be reporting on what's happening with Toys R Us, because a lot of you already know. But for some reason, if you're living under a rock, let me give you a quick recap. A few months ago, I think back in like September or something, I can't remember, or a few months ago, Toys R Us filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection. And people were saying, oh man, Toys R Us is going out of business. But no, they were just too stupid. They had no idea what Chapter 11 bankruptcy was. It was trying to restructure Toys R Us, not closing up everything. But they did close up a bunch to try to get back some money, and they were hoping that someone would buy them out, but no, they didn't. They got bought out by somebody in 2005, and now no one wants to buy from them again. And because nobody apparently wants them, they're going away. And I love the press release they put out, pretty much trying to guilt trip everybody, saying this is your fault. Because you guys chose to shop everywhere else for the holidays, we're gone. We're done. I'm paraphrasing, but that's essentially what it started out as. It was hilarious. And I know some of you are probably thinking, man, Kyle thinks it's funny that Toys R Us is closing. No, I am not laughing about it. I'm fucking sad. But there's some things you gotta laugh at though. And I know some of you are probably like, oh my god, my Toys R Us is gonna close, oh my god. But my local Toys R Us closed probably like 2 or 3 years ago. I went by my local Toys R Us of what used to be a Toys R Us. It was in between, in the same parking lot, a mall that is slowly dying because there's like nothing there except for like one store that was actually decent, and GameStop, and a prison. So between a mall and a prison, we got this Toys R Us, and here's what it looks like now. When I saw this, I was sad. And then I actually looked inside, hopefully I can find that picture too, of what the inside looks like after it's empty and the lights are on. Fucking devastated. So for those of you who are bitching that your Toys R Us is gonna close, I've already felt this pain. Hey, you wanna know what I said to my girlfriend when I was driving her to the mall? Hey, let's get sad, and we drove to Toys R Us. So, this is my story of what Toys R Us meant to me. As a child, I always went to 2 different places, KB Toys and Toys R Us. I would mainly go to KB Toys because they had some action figures like Crash Bandicoot figures. I always bought Crash Bandicoot figures at KB Toys. There's a few Sonic figures, and I got like a Mega Man figure from KB Toys as well, but this is not a KB Toys video. It's gotta move on to Toys R Us. But the point is, those were my 2 childhood places. As a kid, like, some would probably say I'm spoiled, and I can almost agree with that. But even though I was spoiled, I wasn't spoiled rotten. For example, like, I would be going to something like Toys R Us or something like a toy aisle in like Walmart or something, or Kmart, and I'd see a toy that I wish I had, and I'd want it, and my mom would most likely say no. Except for Crash action figures, I got those like every other day. They're only $5 a piece back then. Yeah, so for those who like always hit me up in the DMs, like whether it be on Snapchat or Instagram or whatever, talking about how you love Crash Bandicoot Resource figures, when my mom got them when I was a kid, when they were still readily available, they were $5 a piece. How much does that hurt now? Because look how much they're going for on eBay now. It's sad. It's fucking sad. But anyway, most of the time my mom would say no to other toys, and I wouldn't be sad. I wouldn't throw a fit. I'll just look at it, I'm like, okay, and then we just put it back, and I moved on, and I was happy. I would say, okay, maybe for my birthday, maybe for Christmas. And then sometimes I forget about it, so moms end up being double happy in the end. Even though, like, I loved Toys R Us as a kid, I still visited that store, like, even through high school. I'll try to go more into that later, because I want to try to talk about as much as I can from my childhood. But honestly, I don't remember too much. I remember one time we pulled in, and at this time, Crash Warped was coming out. And there was a huge poster outside of the store, like advertising the thing. If I remember correctly, it was like the Crash 2 poster, like the one that you would see, hold on, let me move this mic. The one that you would see right there, it was kind of like that, but in a scuba suit. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure I remember it just like that. So I know there's other scuba arts of Crash, of him standing that's not swimming. But anyway, I wanted that Crash poster so bad, but it was so huge, I have no idea where I'd put it. And I think Toys R Us had these Crash figures as well, but I mainly got mine at KB Toys, but I don't really remember. But figures I do remember getting at Toys R Us a lot when I was a kid would be a couple of Pokemon figures, the Toy Biz Mario Kart figures, I got those quite often as well. I got a Donkey Kong Country figure from there as well, and I still have that. I don't think it's really worth much, it's probably like worth at most $20. I remember I got a toy Pokedex there from Gen 3 though, so like it was weird because I wasn't in Gen 3. And I remember like even going in middle school, no, like I would like go to Toys R Us because they had a Pokemon event. Like they had a couple Pokemon events. They had like Darkrai and Manaphy. Manaphy was the first one, and that was my first Pokemon mystery gift event, and that one meant a lot to me. And I remember as a kid, there was a giant Rosaurus Sonic figure that talked because that had a talking base. I wanted it so bad, but I didn't get it for some reason. And now it's worth a lot of money, and I do want to get it eventually. If I can find it for a good price, I'll pick it up, but as of now, it's just going to be left as a childhood memory. But my favorite part of Toys R Us, like, I don't know how many stores did this. Like, mine did this for a long time. But it was probably my favorite way of shopping for video games. See, at the time, Best Buy didn't do Gamers Club Unlocked so you can get it for 20% off. Everywhere it had the same prices, essentially. So I would go down Toys R Us's aisle, and here they would have like laminated like box art covers of the games. And then you would look at it and then you flip it up and then you'd see the back of what the game would be. Because a lot of times you want to look at games, you want to see the back of them, but since they're in a display case most of the time in other stores, you can't see them. You just see the front cover and you just gotta guess. See if you're gonna like the game or not. I mean, it's pretty much the same thing with the back cover too, but everyone wants to see the back. They want to see more details. But Toys R Us pretty much gave you that option, and if you wanted it, there'd be a little slip, and you take that to the register, and then they pretty much take you to like customer service or another department, and then they take you to give you the game from there. That I found the coolest thing, because no other store did that. I'm not sure how many Toys R Us did that in particular, but I found it really cool. Remember when I got my DS Lite, I went to Toys R Us and just bought a lot of kits for it. I wanted to protect the thing, I was excited for the DS Lite, and I ended up breaking the thing multiple times anyway. But I was super excited. I spent a lot of money on DS accessories and other stuff like that. But the memories I really remember are the ones from high school. Going into Toys R Us as a high schooler, man, that was weird. I should say that I feel weird. But my Toys R Us in particular, there was little to nobody in there, honestly. As a high schooler, I'd go in there and I would get either Sonic figures or Beyblades. Man, that sounds pathetic too. A fucking high schooler buying Beyblades. Okay, so let me hear me out on this one. When I was a kid, Beyblade was a huge thing. I didn't get into it though, but my neighbor introduced me to Beyblade back when I was in a Guitar Hero tournament once. But like, I think it was like a year later or so, like not even, Beyblade came back. I was so excited. And Beyblade's still around. That's fucking awesome. Like, no lie, I was talking to my coworker about it. Like, he was saying how he got Beyblades for his kids. I'm like, yeah, dude, I fucking love Beyblade. He's saying how he thinks his kid's obsessed with it. Oh, yeah, I'm worse. But anyway, I had a great time buying Beyblades. Because Toys R Us had sales a lot, too. But then Toys R Us had exclusive things there. Before I get into that, I want to mention one more thing. I got Mario 3D Land at Kmart before Kmart Electronics Department was gone. How in tarnation is Sears and Kmart still a thing? Kmart I can almost understand because, you know, they have some things like groceries. But then you go to a regular grocery store for that shit. Never mind. Kmart shouldn't be alive. But anyway, my first Nintendo 3DS came from Toys R Us. This one right here, I paid $250 for at Toys R Us. And I was super excited. Why I chose Toys R Us out of every other place, I don't know. Maybe it was because I still loved going in there, because before I got this thing, I was still buying Sonic figures all the time. And I love knowing that there is a huge lineup of 3DS games I could just look at and just flip it up and just see the back of it. I guess I just loved my video game experience that much at Toys R Us. Oh yeah, I was talking about DS accessories that I got there. This one is probably one of my favorites. Now this is a statue of Mario. This is made by Popco. They got a couple of releases, and I think First 4 Figures made this thing first. But unfortunately, this is the Popco version. I thought it was the First 4 Figures version, but no. The bottom says Popco. But this one has a star base. A lot of them don't have that anymore. But it can hold a DS. It can hold a DS Lite, DSi. It just can't hold the XL systems. It can hold a 3DS. A 2DS XL though? I don't know. I actually want to test that. It probably won't, but I'd love to see that. But I thought this thing was rad. And I saw a Pikachu charger as well. I don't know if that was for DS Lite or DSi. I remember I looked at it and I'm like, this won't work for my DS. So I didn't get it. But God, it was fucking awesome. But yeah, I was saying earlier that I got my Sonic figures from Toys R Us. Look at this picture right here. This shelf, I want to say 80 to 90% of this shelf was all bought from Toys R Us. So how's that for a memory? Remember, I would go in there with my mom because at the time I couldn't drive. Because it was a combination of me not wanting to drive and plus the fact that I had seizures anyway, so I couldn't drive for a while. So I went into Toys R Us with my mom, And here, like, she always had like Bath and Body Works, like vanilla stuff. So whenever I think of that smell, I think of going to Toys R Us, like getting Sonic figures. I know it's kind of weird to say that, but hey, let me have my shit. Anyway, I loved those memories a lot. And I know some people are probably going in Toys R Us right now, either hoping there'd be a clearance sale or just going in there just to have one more walk. But if I want to go to a Toys R Us now, I gotta drive anywhere from like 25 minutes to a half an hour. And I know some of you are probably like, oh Kyle, it's not that much of a big deal. But those are not the Toys R Us's I went to as a kid. The one that you saw earlier in the video, that was my Toys R Us, and that closed like 2 or 3 years ago, so I've already felt the pain of what your guys are going through right now. But Toys R Us had some exclusive collectibles that people have gotten like recently. There's a couple of Smash amiibos that are exclusive to Toys R Us. I'm pretty confident there is more, but I can't remember offhand. I just know these ones were exclusive. But here's the thing, when that happened, my Toys R Us is already closed, so I had to hit up Waiting Until 2001 on YouTube to see if he could help me. And luckily he did. And I'm pretty confident he did that full time, so now he has to find another job. I mean, I was talking to him and he said he wants to try to go to school for like 3D sculpting or something like that. But anyway, back to things that were exclusive to Toys R Us. This, unfortunately, I couldn't get from Waiting Until 2001 because I forgot to remind him like a day or two prior. But I ended up getting it from like Amazon Germany, and I only paid a couple of dollars more, so I was okay with it. And that is the Mega Yarn Yoshi. Now, this thing is cute as shit, but it's not as cute as my Pochi! Look at this thing. This thing is fucking cute. And now it's worth $50 for some dumb reason. But yeah, I barely go to Toys R Us recently, but actually just this past couple of months, I went up to Toys R Us because there was one item in particular that I knew I could get to. Because like, it wasn't me and Lauren's first date. It was after our first date, and I think she came back from school, and we got to drive around again. And there's a Toys R Us relatively close to her. So I went there and I picked up this Crash Pop. Now this thing's probably gonna skyrocket because like even though it's a new pop, it's Toys R Us exclusive and now you can't get it anymore. So I don't know what's gonna be more expensive, that or the Chase. Happy I got mine. I actually have the full set. I'm so fucking proud of that. But anyway, like I'm looking at all this now and like it saddens me. Like Toys R Us was the last big toy store. Now I was talking to him about this to an extent. Like we didn't get too much into discussion about it. But he's thinking how it's actually going to really hurt the toy industry. Some of you are probably thinking, oh no, there's plenty of collectors out there. But that's a niche market though. It's really all about the mainstream. Like the way to really look at it is either from a gaming perspective or just a shoe perspective. Here are my examples. People, like there are shoe heads. There are people that buy shoes, like pay mad money for shoes. But not everybody's a shoe head. The average person just wants to buy a pair of shoes that fits comfortably, looks good, and then they're good to go. Gamers, there's people that want to go for complete collections of games. Like look at the Wii U, for example. I feel like only Nintendo fans bought the Wii U, and then maybe a few other people. And then there are some people who just didn't buy the Wii U in general because they had no idea really what it was. Because Nintendo fans love the Wii U. That doesn't mean it was enough to like bring enough money for Nintendo, I guess. Game sales wise, they did fantastic, but the system itself didn't do all that great. People would consider it a failure. And Toys R Us, like even though there's going to be collectors of figures that are going to go into Toys R Us sometimes and buy figures, it's not enough. Just because there is a collector's market, there's people who will like try and buy these things, it's not enough. Like Toys R Us started recently collecting stuff like SH Figuarts and maybe Figma now. And I know they have a few other collectibles as well. But how many people, like how many average Joes know what a SH Figuarts is? Not a lot. How many know what a Figma is? Not a lot. I know a lot of people are saying that kids don't play with toys anymore. I honestly don't really know how true that is. A lot of people that are saying that, how many of them actually have kids? Like my niece Madison, she's 4 and she plays with toys all the time. But she's 4 though, like even though that is a child, like what about kids that are in elementary school? What about early middle school? That's why I talked to Josh about that. And like, sure, he kinda plays with toys. Like he plays with Beyblades and stuff like that. But he's mostly playing video games. And because it's Josh, here he collects Nintendo games. So he's making his kid play legit Nintendo games and he actually enjoys it. He loves Zelda. The kids are mostly playing video games now. Or they're on their phones or on their tablets or something. Now there's gonna be a limited supply of like stock. Like you have to go to Target or Walmart now for toys, and there's not a lot of real estate in those stores. It's almost like a GameStop where it's only a small section. Like GameStop only has so much room to fit games and now collectibles and accessories for video games. But I can't say it's that much to an extreme. They do have quite a few aisles just dedicated to toys at these places. But I don't know what's gonna happen now. I know people are blaming Amazon, but I don't shop for toys on Amazon, to be fair. But the times I've tried to look for things on Amazon, like figure-wise or whatever, it'd be other people selling it. It wouldn't be Amazon themselves. It'd be resellers or scalpers, but it would be them buying from other places and then selling them on Amazon. My battery's dying on my camera, so I really gotta wrap things up. When it comes to exclusive figures like Pops or Amiibos, well, they're not gonna be Toys R Us exclusive anymore. So at least there's like that you can be happy about. But other than that, I mean, like, it's the end of an era. It really is. So let me know in the comments, how do you feel about this Toys R Us closing? It's sad. It really is. But there's nothing we can do now. There used to be a Toys R Us in New York that had a giant Ferris wheel on it. I went to that when I was in like 3rd grade. Not for a field trip. Like, my mom took me out there to go see it. And now she's really happy that she did, and I'm happy that I went out there. And then I also went to FBO Schwartz, and now that's gone. I don't know, like, there's things like happening, like your childhood's dying, and it sucks. It's like forcing me to grow up, but it's not just me. Like a lot of people feel like that. Guys, I'm gonna go. Thank you guys for watching the video. I really appreciate it. And I guess this is KGR signing out. Peace, guys.